머리 오죠 radio. We love 머리 오죠.
So TROM has a problem that most people probably don't even consciously notice when they play it. But once you do notice it, you really can't unsee it. The game feels weirdly quiet, like not in an atmosphere way, not in a horror silent tension way, but more like nobody's actually communicating. And for a 1v6 game like the robloxia of madness, that's a really big deal for me, because this game is a game where teamwork is supposed to matter a lot. Survivors are constantly meant to coordinate, react, rescue, rotate, loop, split, pressure, all of that. But in practice, most of the time, it just feels like 6 individual players happening to exist in the same match, reacting to the same situations independently, rather than actually working together as a unit. And I don't think that comes from a lack of mechanics per se. I think it comes from something much simpler. There's no fast, usable communication system that actually survives mid-game chaos, even if Roblox chat was still normal here. But that got me thinking. I recently played Splatoon through Pretendo recently, and it has a communication system that is extremely simple. Just D-pad with preset messages. This way up top and booyah. But it works mid-match in a way that a lot of modern games still struggle with. No typing, no stopping, no breaking flow, just instant intent. So I started wondering, what would that look like if it was rebuilt specifically for TROM's kind of gameplay? Not copied, not ported, but redesigned for something more intense, more asymmetrical, and more independent on fast decision making. So I'm going to start building a safe chat system for it. And I want to go through it step by step, like we're actually designing it in real time, all with the limitation of it fitting in a single D-pad. So up was the first one here, and honestly, this one took the most thinking while I was thinking about it, because it kind of wants to do everything at once. You know, it could be danger, it could be an objective, it could be a teammate being chased, it could be someone spotting the killer. Splatoon used this way, but I don't want to copy Splatoon in this scenario, you feel me? So instead of trying to separate all of those into different buttons, I actually think it works better to accept that in a real match, players don't have time to categorize what they're seeing. They just need to say something important is here. So I went with over here, because I think this button only really makes sense if it has weight behind it. So instead of this being a simple ping, I would say pressing over here would actually highlight your character to every single player in the match for a short duration. And that includes the killer too. So now this makes something very different. It's not just a location marker anymore, it's a risk reward signal, because you're basically trading your safety for the clarity. You're saying, oh, I need attention on this immediately, even if it puts me in danger. And that changes how it gets used completely. You don't spam it anymore. You save it for moments where coordination really matters, like rescuing someone, forcing attention away, or confirming something extremely important. So pressing up on the D-pad becomes this high impact, high risk attention tool. Okay, so now let's move on to the left. And this one is less about information and more so about momentum, because one thing I noticed in TROM gameplay is that players often already understand what should happen. They see the situation, they know the right move, but there's always this weird pause where nobody wants to be the first person to commit, and that hesitation can completely break a moment that would otherwise have worked. So I wanted something that removes that delay entirely, so I went with let's go. And the most important thing here isn't what it says, it's what it does socially. It converts understanding into action. Once someone uses it, the assumption shifts immediately to we should do this to we are doing this now. It creates kind of like a soft commitment pressure, not forcing people, but aligning them instantly without discussion. And in a fast ASIM game like this, that kind of instant alignment is actually really powerful. So now we have to start thinking about what happens after the actions. And this is something a lot of games just kind of forget to support or implement, because in TROM and most other games you get a lot of these small but meaningful moments. For example, someone barely escapes, someone pulls off a rescue under pressure, someone survives something they probably shouldn't have survived, and then nothing. There's no reaction, no acknowledgement, no reinforcement. It just moves on. So I added for this good job. And the reason this matters is because it gives these moments weight. It turns them from isolated gameplay events to shared experiences. It tells players that this wasn't just random, someone saw it and someone recognized it. And over time, that kind of reinforcement builds team identity without needing voice chat or typing. Now we have to worry about the down button, and this one was the hardest one to define because I didn't want it overlapping with anything else already in the system. So instead of making it emotional or directional or action based, I made it purely structural. I went with okay, and this is basically the most universal confirmation tool. It means I saw your signal, I understand what's happening, and I am responding accordingly. It doesn't introduce anything new. It just removes that uncertainty you put from saying everything else. Because without it, every other message becomes redundant. Did they see it? Are they coming? Are they ignoring it? And that just stabilizes all of that instantly. So down becomes a grounding point of the entire system. Okay, so putting this all into the D-pad, we get the players to associate a button with intention. So for up, we have something happened over here. For down, we have someone responds. Okay, you can respond to anything with that. And for left, we have coordinated movement. Let's go. And right for good vibes. Good job. And the system basically restores what TROM was missing easily and improving upon the original chat. It just has a structure inside the communication that is brimming with potential and capability. But then I realized something. This only solves in-match communication. It doesn't solve what happens before the match even starts. The lobby in TROM is socially empty in that way, and people are there, don't get me wrong, but they don't really form anything lasting or structured before the game begins. So I tried building a second system for that. So for this second setup, we're focusing on communication more so, like I stated earlier. And for the first one, we want to focus on initiation, a way to acknowledge other players without needing anything complicated. Let's keep it simple. So I put hello, but this isn't just hi, it's more general. It's like, I see you and I'm open to interacting. It's the starting point of any social connection in the lobby. Now boom, we have that communication, we have that initiation, and now that that connection exists, we need the grouping for the left button. Because TROM is significantly better when players stick together instead of randomly splitting every match. So I put party. This is the invitation layer. It can mean many things. It can mean grouping together, being friends, etc. It just turns strangers into the temporary unit before the match even begins. And it's important that it's a question, not a command, because it just keeps it flexible and not aggressive. And to follow up that party, we need commitment. And since it synergizes so well with party, it can be the right button over here. Because without commitment, every group just falls apart before queuing. So for this one, I put ready. And this is the point where the group becomes real. It's a confirmation that says, I'm staying with this server or this group for the match. It turns a loose lobby interaction into something that actually carries into gameplay. And finally, for that bottom button, we want to synergize this well with, okay, that general use button. But we also want this to be general use, but closure at the same time, in case people want to leave. Because if interactions don't have an ending, they don't feel complete. So you can put GG. It respects the match, acknowledges the shared experience, and cleanly resets the social loop so players can move on without the awkwardness. And the amazing thing about this dpad communication is that it forms its own loop. You meet people, hello, you group, party, you commit, ready, and you end, GG. And suddenly, the lobby stops becoming a waiting room and becomes an actual social structure, something that supports interaction instead of just existing around it. And I think that's really the main idea here. TROM doesn't need more mechanics. It doesn't need any more systems layered on top of what already exists communication-wise. It just needs a simple way for players to actually feel connected while they're playing. Because right now, even when the teamwork technically happens, it doesn't always feel like teamwork. So this isn't just about adding chat, though it is a part of it. It's about giving the game a shared language that actually works in real time, under pressure, and without breaking gameplay flow. And I think something as simple as this could change the feel of the entire game more than people would expect. Not by making it more complex, but by finally making it feel like everyone is actually playing together, whether you're on controller, PC, or mobile. Thank you.